Yes.
Communication.
Yes, communication in leadership.
In
Yeah, those
leadership.
Thank you very much, Kamenwa. So yeah, so I would again start by asking all of us to contribute, to tell us what they were able to appreciate for the 5 presentations that we've made there. What was the greatest experience for you, even as you looked at the case study? I believe it's the Starbucks case study. And how does that impact on your leadership going forward? So requesting, we're not many today, so we could hear from each one of us what they were able to achieve. Waishinga, we could start from you. What was your experience?
Okay, thank you, Jotham, and good evening, colleagues.
Good evening.
It was a very insightful module, more so because for me, it touched on me as a person, especially the topic on self-leadership, where I felt challenged to look at myself more deeply as a leader, get to understand myself and how I impact on others, how I influence others, and how I support others. The other topic that I really identified with was the one on teamwork and creating synergies at the workplace. And I felt it's easily said, but it's actually the winning strategy when everybody is reading from the same page. Everybody feels part and parcel. Everybody understands the strategy and they feel they own it and they feel they have a contribution to make and they know how to make that contribution. It's not easy because we are all unique, we are all different. So for me, I felt it's challenging, but it is the winning strategy. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Oshinga. Kamenwa,
Thank you. Good evening, colleagues.
Good evening.
For me, self-leadership or servant leadership module was quite good for me. Everything was okay, but what spoke to me loudest from everything was on self-leadership. What it means to me that I need to train myself intentionally. It is an intentional thing. It's not going to come from anyone. I have to train myself. I have to purpose to train myself to be the kind of leader that I want. As in, I have to influence my own thinking, my own actions, everything towards the goals that I want to achieve. So it is intentional. I have to propel myself. It's not going to come from anyone else. Self-leadership is propelling myself. And on to Starbucks story. I love the story. The founder, as in, he could see what others could not see. I mean, it was just coffee, nothing else. And he was able to buy a company from, and it was just sales. Then he got interested in why people are buying so many coffee makers. Then he saw something that they did not see. He bought a company from them. Now he's making money from something, an idea that they were refusing to take up. For me, that was quite impressive, regardless of the challenges he might have met afterwards. But that visionary, taking the risk, that go-getter attitude, seeing what people are not seeing, was very impressive for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Golda.
Afternoon, everyone. Oh, it's good evening.
Good evening.
So one of the area which most spoke to me was on coaching and mentorship. Of course, also communication, but for coaching, at least it allows you to plan the succession planning, because then you're not the only one who holds all the information, and you're sure that if you left or if something happened, then there's someone who you have coached and they're able to fit in your shoes, not completely, but at least the gap will not be felt. And there's also that issue of capacity building. And I think some of these things are just uplifting, that you help someone think through the issues that are there and maybe discuss with them and listen to them, and you allow them to give the solutions to the challenges that they are facing. The only thing that you have to help them is to guide them through the solutions, and probably do the whole thing of checking, monitoring, and seeing the solution that they give work. Then on the communication aspect, it was mostly about giving clear instructions, being very clear and avoiding the long chain of people who you're giving instructions before it gets to the person who needs these instructions. Just give clear, simple instructions to the person that you need to give these instructions to. Now, on Starbucks, I think that was a very, Schultz, I hope I've said his name properly, was a very, courageous man. You offer to leave your job and just go somewhere. I'm not sure, they didn't tell us whether he was being paid to be the marketing person in Starbucks, but he left and went because he saw a company, he had a vision, and he saw where he could where this company, not probably him, but where this company would go. And he said, I'm joining these people and I'm joining this force. And I think that takes courage. You just don't wake up, leave your job and go somewhere and say, I'm coming on board, I'm with you people. And maybe many other people are not seeing this vision. So I think that was something quite encouraging, I guess, from the gentleman. Thank you.
Right, that's a nice one. It reminds me of when I resigned to do what I'm doing. I was seated, it was very early in the morning. I was taking coffee at Savannah, the Savannah Cafe at Loiter Street. And that morning I had not carried my laptop. So I started thinking of, where am I headed? What am I doing? And I'm really convinced I should be doing what I'm doing now. And there was a Cyber Next. And I drafted a letter. And I sent the CEO and I told him, let's meet and talk. He actually stopped his car so that we could first talk, where I told him, I think I've done my mind, made my mind, so let's meet in the office and talk. So it can happen, yes, but it requires a lot of courage. Thank you. Let's go to Purity.
Good evening, everyone. A pleasure to listen to each one of the distinguished guests. So I wasn't able to go through the learnings. However, I was able to go through the Starbucks story, which I resonate with. I resonate with what the other two speakers have been able to say concerning how courageous this man was, leaving an established maybe job, because where he was working and earning, to just go discover and just find out what's next. And from there, he was able to establish a company. And the issues of the international markets, which is what, at a personal level in our company, we are going through, trying to go through the challenges of establishing international offices. So this story is so timely, and it has helped me to see or look at things from a different perspective. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then we go to Gidnora. Gidnora, what's a nice one? I've never had such a name. Gidnora. I hope I'm
Hello,
saying
good
it,
evening.
I hope I'm saying it the right way, right?
Yes, it's correct.
All right.
Gignora.
All right.
Thank you. Well, for me, I wasn't able to go through all the learnings. I did the past two. And I'm really motivated by how my other colleagues are speaking. So I'll create time and go through them all. But I managed to go through the servant leadership and communication. And servant leadership spoke a lot to me that we don't need to be bossy, but we need also to co-work with the people and to have a good understanding of how the people are working, and that way you're able to lead them from a point of knowledge and understanding. So for me, that will be it. And I really purpose to finish up with the learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Emphasis is that for working. All right, Caro Magero.
Please allow me to follow. I'm on the road.
All right, you don't so that you don't have an accident. We want to see you in Mombasa. Vera. You know now, Caro, you make everyone start driving right now. Vera. Vera. There's another one called Zoom user. Tim. Today, just all right, in a noisy place. Zoom user, Zoom user, who is it? Because we usually record the people who attend. Zoom user, you need to identify yourself. Josephine Dijine. Josephine. Karambugwa. Yes, Caro, come. Hello? We can't hear you, Caro. All right, I think the sound is not very, very good. Pet Omolo.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So in the second module, I learned quite a lot. As we started, I would relate with the topics, but as I went through the learnings, I actually realized that there's a lot to learn. And the first one was about servant leadership. And I realized that for me to have a successful team or followers, I also have to be able to reason with them, to listen to them, and not to be, I say in Kiswahili, si wendo kusema. You also have to listen to their views and support through the whole thing. Two topics really challenge me is communication in leadership, and then this clause that say that if you can't communicate, then there is no need of you to be a leader. And talking about communication, we have to be active listeners. We should listen to the people we are communicating to. We should check on our audience. What kind of communication are we passing? What channel do we want to use to pass our communication? And ensure that whatever we are communicating is understood. Also give room for feedback. Talking still on communication, I also learned that it is not only one-sided. It has to be two-sided. You communicate to them and also wait for them to give you feedback. And then there is mentorship and coaching. And going through this learning, one thing that challenged me is about when you're mentoring someone, it's not about you who is mentoring. You should make them understand that what can they achieve if you are not there, so that as you support them, you are looking forward to the time you will let them handle whatever they have to handle on their own. So for me, what came clearly is that at some point as a mentor, I will have to let go of the person I'm mentoring so that they can also survive on their own. Probably for me as a leader to mentor others, or for them also to learn how to mentor others. So I learned a lot. Talking about the case study, I really like the founder. He was, say, self-driven. He knew what he wanted and he was going for it. This is what I want and I'm going for what I want until I achieve it. A lot of risk, I could see a lot of risk along the way. I could see a lot of challenges, but he didn't stop. He kept on pushing through until such a time even you as a reader of the case study, you learn a lot and you realize that for you to achieve something, apart from just having a vision, you must be able to implement what you are talking about. You must be able to think outside the box. You realize that when there are countries when he went to, he was really listening to the community. So that for me, it's a learning. As a leader, you don't have to go to a new market and you want to be how you want to be. You have to listen to everyone that is there so that you come up with something that will be beneficial for both the company and everyone. Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Let me pose a question. You remember the story of the Holocaust? Those who read the case study, what do we learn from that experience? And then there is the issue of the smoking.
Come again. What did you ask? Holocaust.
Okay. Well, there was something around the Jews, an experience around the Jews. Who would share what experience we could get from there? And then another one for smoking. We're just trying to jog our minds to.
Can I say something on the smoking?
Kindly.
For me, Mr. Hord was a very principled and valued man with values, because regardless of even the challenges in the market, like France, where smoking is like the order of the day, he still wanted to maintain that value. The reason why he started, he was actually living what he believed, the non-smoking zone. But okay, to some extent, because of failing, the market failing a bit, then the smoking zone was put outside. But he held on to it. Everywhere he opened a coffee bar, regardless of the challenges. I mean, it was not all about money. It was, they were selling their values, they were selling themselves, and that is very important. Because as a leader, you might succumb to challenges because you want to make a profit margin and forget the reason why you started. You forget the values that you actually stood for. So for me, that was quite impressive. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other learning from case study, Saba? What can we apply? What can we apply in at the workplace from that case study? Now that we're in the COVID season, what can we carry home?
I just want to talk about the no smoking policy. And as I was reading this, I was remembering my boss. I work in the tourism sector, and our clients are international. So we are really facing a lot of financial challenges. And as management, I've really tried talking to our CEO. Why don't we, go to the local market and all this? But he has stand his ground. My clients are international. I'm not going to compromise and go sell this because I'm going to be happy. So, to make money temporarily, or, see, like compromising the brand. We have a brand that we have built, and it's not going to sideline some people. But if the local can afford what we are offering, then let's sell to them. If they can't afford, let's not go and start selling the lower properties because we want to make quick money. So for me, it's all about brand. If I make a brand, I maintain it.
You maintain the brand. Okay, but also with, as you say, with some level of flexibility to see what works, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Any other? How would you create a culture of mentorship in growing leaders below you? That was one of the questions in the paper. How do you ensure that you continuously mentor people below you, and even at home? At home. For those with who love let me just try to use something that will resonate with all of us. If today you're not there, God forbid, would your team at home still run the home? You may not answer now, but it's just a question. If you're to leave your organization today, would your department run as it used to run or even better? Because one of the key and one of the key things that we've placed on the servant leadership, the intentional balance thing is the comment that you measure the quality of your leadership based on how best you're able to, based on how best you create a wholesome team below you, people who are able to grow in their mind, in their capabilities, wholesomely. That even when you're not there, they're able to take the position. How many of us would be okay being away from the organization for 2 months? In most situations, from where I've worked and from the clients that I consult for, it's a big challenge. Because sometimes people will imagine, hey, nitapata kiti ilienda, or maybe when I'm away, I'll have everyone calling me. I will not have my time. Or someone saying she'll be okay. That's a good thing. That's how you measure your level of leadership. That if you're to be sick, if you're to be hospitalized, and God forbid, would your department run the same way? And the same thing I'm placing at your home, in your social circles, maybe at the family level. How best would you? Of course, that depends on so many factors at the family level. How big your children are, if there's a spouse involved, if there are relatives involved. I have seen a case of someone who left. She was a single parent. She passed on. She had a good job. So the two children were schooling in very, very nice primary schools. I won't mention which ones. Then she passed on, and it was very hard for these children to be taken by the other siblings because no one was able to take the risk. So those are some of the questions that we have to ask ourselves, even at our own level, because if we can't lead self, then how can you give out what you don't have? If you don't practice a certain behavior, it is very hard for you to mentor other people to uptake the same behavior that you want them to portray going forward. So the way you can measure that you're really mentoring people is by the kind of interaction that you have with them. If every minute they have to call you to ask you what to do, then there's a problem. When you realize that people can work and you only meet maybe in the morning and the evening and maybe the following day, or it's a weekly meeting and then the rest of the week it's planned, one is able to come and just tell you where they are, then that's how you measure the organization is moving forward. Another way I've seen work is when you go for serious meetings, try to groom 1 or 2 people. So when you're attending, they are taking your minutes. They're able to learn the ropes, to just appreciate how it goes in those meetings. Even when you're not there, then they're able to take over, or even when you're there, they're able to relieve some duties from you so that you can have what we call work-life balance. Here, what strategic risks would you anticipate when a company is in a massive expansion? your boss wakes up, or your board wakes up today and says, we want to expand to 4 countries. What key risks would you be able to point, and how would we be able to advise so that then our organization doesn't sink into very, very uncharted waters? Risks that can mess the brand, as it were.
I can
Yes,
I can attempt.
kindly.
Studying the markets that you're going into, and studying them very well, either from the people behavior, how will your product perform, what are the behaviors of the people around, or the culture of the people in that particular market that you're going to, what are the regulatory issues that one needs to consider, all those things, so that as you're going into a new market, you have knowledge about the culture, the regulatory issues, and how the product is likely to perform, by either testing 1 or 2, are there similar products in the market, or is it an entirely new product or an entirely new system? Can you identify partners that you can work with, and partners who are locals and who you can sort of either trust or have some level of trust as you work with them, so that they can be able to give you the much needed information before you go full throttle or establish yourself in the new market. As those will be the key items that I will be considering. As you go, what are the within the aspect of culture, how do people work? Are they laid back? Are they aggressive? What are their work habits or their work ethics? What do they believe in? Because I would assume, like, there are markets, like if you establish an office in a laid back market, in one of the African countries, you can really get frustrated, especially maybe because they don't want to be waking up at 8 or to be in the office by 8. They believe in being in the office at 10 or something and leaving at 4 or 3. And there's nothing much you can do about it, because that's the culture in a particular market. So just learning what are the cultures, the work ethic, the systems in place, the regulatory issues. Will you be, how are the tax issues in that country, things like those.
Right. Yeah, demographics, so that if you're able now to tell which product to push in a particular market, and many other things. But let me just throw a spanner into this discussion. We are in 2022, and without really delving into politics, we are aware how the past has been during politics, during or after post-election. So what key strategies should we put in place as even HR experts, as lady leaders, women leadership? And by the way, happy belated Women's Day. So as women leaders, what strategies do we propose to put in place in our organization, so that then, should there be a negative outcome during and after elections, that our organization still remains in good footing, on solid ground, and our staff are protected and they feel safe? Because that's one of the key aspects of a leader, ensuring that the people are safe. There is something called the managerial grid of leadership. It's a theory that looks at tests a leader's capability by looking at how much they focus on people issues, the plight of the people, and the aspect of productivity. So it's usually in a next Y axis kind of a platform, And the biggest emphasis is for you to ensure that you have very good emphasis on people issues, and then also you have very, very good concern for productivity. So can I hear a bit of what we are proposing? Yes, Edith?
Good evening, colleagues.
Good evening.
Sorry, I was the Zoom user. I was using another gadget. I didn't realize.
Okay.
So I think for us, where I see it, COVID was a real come on. There's someone, come on 11.
There's someone. Okay, I've muted them.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm also new in this.
Okay. All right. It's okay.
So as I was saying, COVID was the real litmus test for us. So with this, we are more prepared. And one of the things we did during COVID for checking in on staff welfare was the e-check-ins. Every Monday, we had just to check if everyone was okay. If they haven't logged in, then a phone call would suffice. And then we had those virtual coffees as we moved on, just to check in with the team members. It was first the smaller teams, the HODs, then the bigger meetings that were hosted by HR department. Right. So for productivity, I think also COVID was also one of the catalysts for the ensuring productivity. Virtual mechanisms, at least 90% of everyone everyone can work from home, other than now the office assistants, once in a while they have to clean up and all that. And the few deliveries like mail. So the mail guy now has a schedule, not like every other day people would wake up with mail and this one is urgent, this one is urgent. So there's a proper schedule for that, which ensures proper planning and also just to keep them safe. So productivity, we went virtual. And for checking in, we had the virtual check-ins. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Vera, I can see Vera raising the hand.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Thank you. The strategies we are really looking into to put in place, especially now because of the electioneering year, and to ensure that the business remains strong even after the elections. First of all, are the issues around cost management. We are really keen on where we are spending our money on, because we don't know what else, because our business is majorly sponsored by investors. So we are really keen on the cost aspect. So we've really taken charge of cost management in the entire business, where we are really putting our money into. And then secondly, what we are doing is just constant communication with our employees, just to assure them how the business is doing. And we have to update them on how the business is doing every month, so that at least as we move along, they are with us. You know, sometimes leaders just assume that employees are not supposed to know how the business is doing. But for you to walk along with the employees and to ensure that productivity remains, it's sometimes good to be an open book and just share how the business is progressing, so that at least they work with you and they know what you are doing, especially the cost management. They know what we are cutting on and the reasons why, so that we work together. So we're having the constant communication. Every month, the country manager shares a communication on how the business is doing, touching a little bit aspects on politics in the office and all that, and how we need to transition after the election. So that's some of the two strategies we are putting in place as we look on what other strategies you can include in that.
Right, thank you. So do you have a policy, for example, on politics, you know, how people should handle their opinions around politics at the workplace?
Yes, we have. Last year, I'm the head of HR for Kenya. Last year, I had to go, because we have around 22 branches. I had to go through on all the branches just to enlighten them, create awareness where politics should be, not in the office. We have to respect people's opinions and people's political cocoons, but not in the office. But we just ensure that, first of all, they exercise their democratic rights, but know where the politics ends, so that we respect each other's opinion. Yes.
Right. Good thing. I think that's very good, Vera. A very good insight. Let me just ask the rest of the team to respond to this. Have we thought of mapping the country along what we call the hotspots and the quality and the people that work in those regions? Yeah, let me hear. Vera wants to say something.
Yes, on that, we were a little bit hesitant because when we thought of it, we thought of when we start mapping out early, it will build some fear or even some resistance, especially when we are doing our transfers and all that. So we say that we're not starting early, but maybe towards election, we'll see how the temperatures are. And then from there, we'll see how we can map people in their regions. But we were really hopeful that everything will go on well. That is the communication we always give so that we avoid that, creating that fear and that uncertainty.
Okay, that's good, Vera. Another question I would want to ask, in terms of where people reside, if there was to be a big challenge, do we have an idea where they live, and how do we ensure that we have like ways of tracking people's the plight of the people even during such kind of eventualities? This is a hard question, but yeah, we need to start thinking big, seeing far.
So for us, when maybe they could be allowed, sorry,
yes,
to go or to contribute to this very enlightening discussion. For us, when COVID hit, I being in HR, we decided to get the details of all staff in terms of where they live, down to the nitty-gritties, for ease of reach. We shall most likely use the same information, and we keep encouraging guys to let us know when they leave their residences, that is if they move. And I have seen that it is important to have this information mapped to actually the staff list, so that the staff list has comprehensive information, not just of the staff details, but it also has details of where someone lives, just in case you need to know, just in case of an eventuality. Yeah. Prior, we would go back to the file to check details in the file, but I have seen over time the importance of just having all this information at the click of a button. Yeah.
There's this aspect of if there was a state of emergency, let's try to think, like leaders think of the unthinkable, so that then they are prepared, they're able to prepare, mobilize resources in advance. In the event there's curfews and all that, it means a lot of people need to be prepared financially. So from that background, and because I am a champion of financial literacy, in another NGO that I serve, we train people on financial literacy. How are we supporting our staff in a way that in the event there is a big challenge that affects even how the ability of the company to support them, how would you still ensure that your people are safe economically for the longest if there was a challenge? What are we doing as a team, or what do we propose to do as leaders? Karibu Judith. You know what I'm posing is, sometimes you pay people a salary today, then tomorrow pesa imeisha. Then there's this big challenge. So what happens? People start coming for salary advances, and you're not sure whether you open.
Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Well, honestly, I've not thought about it now. Let me think. We've not thought to, okay, myself, I've not thought to that extent, but it actually makes sense. Yes, somebody will be safe in the house, but if they don't have the money, then what next? They'll starve. And if we are able to train them on financial literacy in that direction, it means they can start saving up now and have something that will help them when it comes to that time. So for me, surely I had not thought about it, but now I've noted that down, and thank you for that enlightenment.
Can I try?
Yes, Omolo.
I'm just thinking on when COVID came, 2020, 13th of March. I remember we had just received a bonus in December. Then January, we were very peaceful. February, then March. First thing first, COVID is here. What happens is immediately there is a COVID first case, then our business was directly affected. So what we did is we had a quick meeting with the staff. I remember the announcement was at 12 and we had a first brief at 4 p.m. So we told the staff the real situation. This is COVID. We were trying to benchmark with China that had gone through it for 3 months and things looked a little brighter. But we told our staff the real situation, how things were, and also cautioned them that we don't know how far this can go and what this means it is going to affect us directly financially. So we did the first salary reduction, but we are reducing your salary, and we also did a financial literacy, sort of it's not a training really, but just a talk to staff on how to cut cost. On the other hand, because we are having company vehicles, we are reducing your salary, but we are also trying to save your cost by offering transport to work. We don't allow you to come to work every day so that at the end of the day you can save. And it was a monthly thing. We would have a monthly communication on issues as regard money, the company situation per month, and now staff, this is what you are going to get. Find a way of cost saving and reducing your cost so that it can last us this long. It got to a point we didn't even have money. We had to take staff to unpaid leave. But this one we communicated like 3 months before the time, so that you know that whatever I'm getting in these 3 months, I should find a way of surviving with it for the next 4 months, because probably you'll be in unpaid leave for 1 month or 2 months. So I think communication played a very big role. We had monthly talks. We tried as a company to find ways of cost cutting for staff. I don't know if I'm even right, but I thought that would make sense in cases whereby I don't have money and I have to pay staff. Another thing we did was we really renegotiated our insurances. There are things we had taken as luxury. So you ask yourself, do I really need this? Don't I need it? We only worked with bare minimum, what we really needed at that particular time.
All right, thank you. Any other person with an insight regarding how we would manage risks going forward? So that then I can allow our Purity to tell us what next. By the way, how many of you love hiking? It's just a question. How many, just by showing your hand or typing there, how many love hiking? 1. Sasa hapa ndio watu wanashikwa. Only 1 person loves hiking. Jesus. I've never gone for one. Oh, well, I have never tried. Oh my God. I have never tried hiking. Wow. So this would be like a first time if we were to think about it. What do you think? Do we need to do a hike at some point? even if it's not a serious one. I can, but oh yes, please. Okay. I think that's something we at Chem, yes, everyone. That yes, we could try. I would love to try. Yeah. So I think I propose at some point, maybe after end of the month, we could plan to do a small hike. So that we also bond as a team. The Purity can try to see how many would be available. If you cannot do a serious hike, then we can do a Karura. Karura is not very serious, but it's also serious if we decide to use a good terrain. But yes, hiking helps you to, we've been talking about self-leadership. This is one of the areas this is one of the key things that has tamed my my temperament. For it, I'm from the way I'm wired, I spark very fast when, how do I put it? When people think slow. Yeah, sometimes I think a little bit faster. So when I'm trying to place to you a particular way of looking at things and you're really down there, it can really frustrate me. And one of the things that has really helped me to have that good control over myself, to be a very good listener, and even also other aspects of my life, is through hiking. So that's something I would encourage the team. If we would agree to do that, that would be a very good thing. And then you make it a habit. Once every maybe quarter, you do a small one. By and by, you'll be able to get to a place where you feel that thing that you call a mountain in your life, your mind is able to control it. The emotions that come with that physical strain, that emotional strain, you're able to put yourself at that level, because that's what leadership is all about. I gave an example, I don't know whether it's the first meeting, where I said, I gave a story of Mandela, and people are going to China, and there was some serious turbulence along the way, and people were just shouting and calling God. But Mandela was just quiet. And then later, one person asked him, "Hey, boss, don't seem to be disturbed by this." And then he said, "You see, as a leader, I'm the last person to blink. So in terms of resilience, I'm the last person to blink. You're the source of hope when you're a leader. So if you're not self-led, then that becomes a challenge." It's just something I'm pushing to you. We are at 701. And I want to invite Purity to tell us what next. Kindly, Purity. And I want us to clap for our Purity. You can see she's still in the office. Purity, I'm really, really proud of you. Let's just clap for Purity. And I'm sure Maurice is also there. I think they are the ones who are being left behind today. Really, really, really proud of you. She's the one who will be taking us through the next module next time. Then I'll be the backup. That's how you mentor leadership. So Purity, your space.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to have you all. Thank you so much for the sacrifice and for always creating time so that we can learn together. We have only one module to go, innovation, change, and inclusivity. I have a request to make, because we have the summit, we have a week to go for the summit. Can we kindly squeeze the remaining days? We do module 3 and have a discussion on Thursday, same time, 6 to 7.
No.
All right.
Kindly make the discussion on a Wednesday or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, before Thursday, that's it.
Okay, I'm suggesting if I could activate the module tomorrow. I leave module 2 still active and then activate module 3. So those who have not finished module 2, they do it and still continue with module 3 at the same time. And then we have a discussion so that we have a time, proper time to plan for the summit for the ones who are attending. It's just a request, we could still give our input. Jatham. Hi, Jatham.
Yeah, hi. I was trying to imagine. I've heard you. I'm very, very. That's a good push. Suppose we just trying to see. Oh my God, how do you manage that? Suppose we say, because it's the last module, you activate the way you're saying. You're activating on Monday. You're activating tomorrow.
I activate it tomorrow. Still leave
You
module
activate
2
it tomorrow,
active.
then leave module 2 active.
Yes.
Then maybe you would consider. You'd consider maybe we have, even after summit, we can have still the meeting. Then
Sorry, I didn't say.
Even after the summit, maybe we still could have the meeting. Then at that point, maybe we could think of the hike, and then we could think of the hike so that we don't pressure you also, and because you're also planning other things. Would that work?
Yes.
All right. So I think then we can have a discussion with you tomorrow, plan, and then because I am seeing the push might be, you might lose some maybe next. Okay, but what you're saying, you activate tomorrow, both modules will be running, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Any other thing that you'd want to share?
Maybe about the summit. For the ones who have shown interest, I'm still waiting to hear from you. Just that one. It's a just kind reminder.
Right. All right. Okay. Thank you.
For
Thank you.
those who will miss the summit because of time, or just because we are not able to attend because of other responsibilities, is there likely to be another summit sometime in the future?
We can have a talk remotely. I think that's no problem. We can see how that works out. But this one would have really, really been the best. I can tell you, the best for you. But I think we could say chat Purity tomorrow around that. But I welcome all of you to the summit. We pray that our good team will be able to attend, so that we also join other leaders there. All right. So if there's nothing else, any other comments, or we could leave those as administrative issues. And I say, enjoy your night, and it's really, really a pleasure having allowed us your space to share our knowledge, to share what we can do. And we hope that you also become our ambassadors in the organizations. Asante sana, God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye, thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Golda Kolo.
Bye-bye, and thank you.
Bye, Anne, thank you. Inora, bye, thank you.
Bye, thank you.
All right,
Bye.
thank you, bye-bye. Thank you, Anne. All right, see you, God bless.